Hi everyone, welcome back. So my last video was about 3D technology, and I really enjoyed making that one. So this time, I thought I'd make another video about an old technology fad that people don't care about anymore. So I guess this is old technology too. The squeakquel. Yeah, remember motion controls? So motion controls in video games have been around in some capacity for decades. There were motorbike racing arcade machines in the 80s, the Nintendo Power Glove was a thing, but arguably the most famous example, the avatar of the motion control world if you like, was the Nintendo Wii. Now the Nintendo Wii was first unveiled at E3 2005 under the name Nintendo Revolution, but it wasn't until the Tokyo Game Show later that year that they'd finally reveal the motion control concept, with this really odd promotional video trying to showcase all the different ways the Wiimote could be used. They made some more of these videos at E3 2006 when they finally revealed the name Nintendo Wii, but this time with some actual gameplay as well. I think these videos are cool because they give you a sense of some of the earliest concepts for how Nintendo thought that the Wii could be used. But also, what's the deal with these sorts of video game commercials? You know the ones I mean, the ones where the actors are very clearly pretending to play the game, and they just put way too much energy into it. Let's look at these guys, for example. Well, if you can look at these guys. This is 2006, of course, so it's in glorious 240p resolution. But anyway, what's up with this guy on the right? Why is he holding a steering wheel? I mean, that's not one of those plastic Mario Kart steering wheels, that's an actual steering wheel. Where did he get that from? Did he go out to his truck and take the wheel off so that he could feel more comfortable watching his friend play Nintendo Wii? Or is there someone somewhere that doesn't have a steering wheel in their car? I've got way too many questions here. The other thing that's kind of odd about this early Nintendo Wii marketing is that there's loads of clips of people using two Wiimotes at once. Has anybody ever done that? I guess this was a thing they wanted developers to do, but from a developer's standpoint, it makes so much more sense just to make your game work with the one Wiimote, or a Wiimote and a nunchuck, or as I called them when I was 9, numchunks. Because otherwise you'd need people to go out and buy a second Wiimote before they could play your game, and nobody's going to do that. Apparently there are some games though that use two Wiimotes at once, but only 9 of them. And 2 of them were Wii Cheer. Regardless of all the weirdness of these ads, the Wii really excited people at the time. A console completely based around motion control was a really cool idea, not to mention the fact that the console and its games were so much cheaper than anything else around at the time. It was one of those things that you only really needed to try out once at the demo booth of your local department store before you decided that you really needed one. When it came out, the Wii was hugely popular, to the point that there were severe stock shortages. I think Nintendo made a really smart move when they decided to bundle Wii Sports with the console, because not only was it the killer app that everyone wanted, but it also served as a sort of showcase of everything the Wii had to offer. In short, the Wii was a cultural phenomenon, and I think one of the things that made it so popular was just how accessible it was. Everybody, and I mean everybody, played the Wii. Even if you were 80 years old and had never touched a video game in your life, you were still swinging around wildly trying to beat your grandson Billy in a game of Wii tennis. And, oh, Billy, I'm sorry. Please, Billy, look, we'll have a rematch, okay? I'll go easy on you, alright? Being able to just do the action that you wanted your character to do was this great thing that made gaming way simpler than any regular controller ever could. I mean, look at this thing. What is that? 4 buttons? Come on, Microsoft. But now this makes sense. But it wasn't all smooth sailing for the Wiimote, because people were getting a little too excited for Wii Sports. You see, motion controls and small living rooms don't really go well together. You may remember the warning from Nintendo before every game begging you to please just wear the wrist strap. Because if you didn't wear the wrist strap, well, there was this sort of mini epidemic in TV related accidents where people would refuse to use the wrist strap, step up to the plate in Wii Baseball, and then hit a home run straight through their TV set. My favourite thing I found on YouTube while researching for this video was a compilation of Wiimotes hitting TVs. Again, this is just another area where the Wiimote shines compared to its competitors. It's sleek, it's aerodynamic, it's perfect for pinning through your TV. Whereas the Xbox 360 controller, I mean sure, it's got these nice handles for throwing tomahawk style, but it's not going to fly as well. You're not going to get that much precision, you know? Nintendo 2, Microsoft, nil. Once the novelty wore off, there was another thing that people started noticing about the Wii, which was that you really didn't need as much effort as everybody thought you did. I mean, here are all these people in ads jumping all over the place and taking massive swings, whereas in reality you can really just go like this, and you're fine. In fact, when I would play Wii Baseball, I found that if you just did a tiny flick, the pitch would go way faster. I guess you could say that ultimately the illusion and the image of this motion control technology was more powerful than the motion control itself. They started selling loads of attachments for Wii remotes that you really didn't need, like golf clubs or tennis rackets, or babies? Who's buying this stuff? Is that a Wii pool cue? What are you going to do with that apart from poke somebody's eye out? A couple of years down the line we got another item from Nintendo in the form of the Wii Balance Board, which was effectively just 4 pressure sensors and that was it. The Balance Board was packaged with Wii Fit and was supposed to be a fun new way to exercise. And to be fair to the Wii Balance Board, it was actually pretty fun to use. I remember using it for snowboarding and skateboarding games, although it was never really precise enough to prefer it over a regular controller. So my favourite fun fact about the Wii Balance Board is this. When it was released in Japan, it was made to support weights of up to 136 kilograms. But when it was released in the West, they had to up that weight and make what they called a special westernized version for weights of up to 150 kilograms. Because that's right, Nintendo think you're too fat to use the regular Wii Fit. But let's move on from Nintendo for now. The Wii made a lot of money from this new interest in motion control, and other companies were keen to get in on that a bit as well. For example, Tony Hawk's Ride was released in 2009 with this wheel-less skateboard that you stood on in your living room and tried not to fall off. And of course, Sony and Microsoft were hard at work making their own motion controllers. Finally, in 2010, Sony released their new product that would blow the competition away. The PlayStation Move. Wait, really? Is that it? Aren't those the things that you direct air traffic with? So the PlayStation Move worked kind of similarly to the Wiimote, except that it had these big balls on top that this camera used to track your motion. So I never owned a PS3, so I didn't really have any reason to want a Move, and I guess I just assumed that nobody ever used them. But apparently they were really successful. By 2012, it had sold 15 million units. That same year, Microsoft released their new product, the Kinect, which was so cool, but so disappointing. The Kinect was different from both the Move and the Wii because this time you didn't need any controllers. Now, the Kinect has been roasted by countless people as being this product that Microsoft marketed as the next big thing that ultimately didn't amount to much. And it sort of is, but I will also happily stand by the fact that the Kinect is a great piece of technology. Yes, I'm a Kinect stan. The Kinect was a couple of regular RGB cameras and an infrared sensor. It could do depth perception, 3D scene reconstruction, and fairly complex object tracking in 2010. It also had voice control because apparently everything needed that back then. The Kinect had all the same sorts of sports and party games that the Wii and the Move had at the time, but also some of the most awkward E3 presentations I've ever seen.
Hey Kristen, how's it going?
Hey, pretty good. Been busy with work. I can see you're busy too.
Yeah, I'm here at E3. Everyone, say hi to Kristen.
Now, if you want to know what it feels like to be a sports god, watch this. Oh, yeah! Thank you! Thank you! Please, sit down, sit down. Give me more love. Thank you! Oh, love it, love it, love it.
Yeah! Look at the water! We can go anywhere.
Microsoft went through this era of hiring actors to pretend to be gamers, and they talk to each other in a way that literally no one talks.
Hit. Top, what happened, man? You're killing me.
You gotta get open. Running like a kicker.
Whoa, look at those mermaids!
Duck waterfall!
Whoa! Oh no, Captain Hook! Fist bump!
Thanks, guys.
I like how the presenters keep pausing for applause, and they don't get it, so they just have to move on.
Xbox Live has changed the way the world plays video games. It started with Halo.
With technology like this, there are no barriers and no learning curves. So,
As you can see, the Kinect truly is the next generation of gaming. So on to our demonstration. Like most of the technology at the time, the Kinect had this huge gap of what was presented to the consumer and what the Kinect was actually capable of. The motion tracking would frequently lose sight of you. You basically had to be right in front of the camera for it to see you. The voice control barely worked half the time, so you'd have to repeat yourself constantly. Xbox, on. Xbox, on. Xbox, on. I feel like most of the games that came out for Kinect weren't really what people wanted to play. Despite it trying, the Kinect really didn't have a killer app like Wii Sports to draw people in. And what's more, it really turned people against it when Microsoft tried to forcefully bundle it with the Xbox One at launch. So why did I say I defend it? So far it just sounds like I'm criticizing it. And that's right. Well, the Kinect actually has great uses outside of gaming. You can plug it into your computer and write your own motion tracking programs. It gives you access to a whole lot more than just a simple webcam can. You can connect to Source Filmmaker and make your own animations just by moving your body. As a cheap device for making your own projects, it's actually pretty cool. It's just not a good gaming peripheral. Motion control even found its way onto the PC. Have you heard of Razer Hydra? No, me neither. But apparently it was a thing. It's kind of like two nunchucks and a motion sensor. There were a decent number of games that were compatible for it. Over 100 actually. Most notably, there was a special enhanced version of Portal 2. I've seen some gameplay videos for it on YouTube, and as always with these old tech trends, I really like reading the comments on YouTube from people who thought that this would be the next big thing. Like Felix, who says, "This plus 3D equals perfect gameplay." Felix, I'm sorry. Haven't you seen my video on 3D? You see, as we approached the end of the 7th generation of consoles, motion control systems became less and less popular. It was just seen as an inferior way of playing games. It was less precise and it was prone to messing up and it was a hassle to deal with, and ultimately people just preferred to stick with what they knew. And nowadays we don't really think that much about motion-based games. I mean, when was the last time you thought about 1-2 switch? The Wii was really cool for its time, sure, but when you begin to deconstruct actually what the technology was, it was a lot more basic than we thought back in 2006. Essentially, the Wiimote's just an infrared transmitter, only a little bit more complicated than the ones in a TV remote, and then an accelerometer. And then the rest of it is just the buttons, exactly like a regular controller. The Wiimote was great when it worked, but it was really finicky to use. A lot of the time you'd have to recalibrate it, or it would register movements that you didn't want it to. They added the Wii Motion Plus attachment a few years later, which added a gyroscope, but only certain games supported it, and so you'd have to keep on taking it on and off again, which was really annoying. Motion control hasn't died off completely though. It's still around actually. The technology from the Wii made it to the Wii U, and then subsequently to the Joy-Cons of the Nintendo Switch. The Kinect made it to the Xbox One, but not the Series X, and the PlayStation Move still had support with the PS5, presumably because of its integration with PSVR. The hype for motion control isn't what it once was, sure, but I think that's just because it's been incorporated into what we already use, rather than being forced as its own separate thing. The PS4 controller, for example, has a gyro inside, and of course plenty of VR headsets also have their own special wands or controllers. It's not that motion control is dead, it's just that it's now being used where it's applicable rather than being forced into everything. And I think it's a really positive thing that it seems to have found its place. Kinda miss that Wii fishing rod though. But those are my thoughts on motion controllers. Again, it's been great diving down the rabbit hole of weird technology trends. As always, if there's something you'd like me to cover, let me know, and I'll see you next time.